Well, Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Port Charles Chat. I'm
And
Mom.
I'm Brandon.
Thank you for joining us again today.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us twice this week.
Yes, and for today, we are going to talk about the week of December 29th through January the 2nd of 2026. And we are taping this on January the 4th of 2026. Brandon, are you ready to get started?
Mom, I'm ready. How about yourself?
I am Brandon. All right, let's talk about what happened this week. First of all, it was New Year's week, so there were a lot of celebrations. So we had a day of new and old couples. So, for example, we had Cody and Molly, we had Gio and Emma, we had Curtis and Jordan, Britt and Jason, Kai and Trina. We had couples, and then we had some, of course, besides having our happy couples, we had drama because that's just what we have on this soap opera. Alrighty. So Drew allowed Willow to take Scout to Alexis's house to celebrate for the holidays. However, Danny came to the house. This was unexpected. Alexis asked Scout not to tell her dad about Danny being there. However, Scout told Willow. Brandon, do you think Willow is going to tell?
This sounds dumb, but not necessarily. And I only say that in the sense of that I feel that she can use this probably to her advantage more than telling Drew outright. Now, she could do it and use that to her advantage, but I think that there's a catch with anything. And so maybe there's a way to bribe Alexis or Michael or Drew or Danny or Jason, somebody.
Yeah, I think Willow has an ulterior motive. Ulterior motive, meaning that now that she has the information, I think she was doing right by allowing Alexis to visit with Scout. However, now that she has this information, who knows what she'll do with it? Did you have another thought, Brandon? I see you thinking.
So, what if she uses this to try to, since Michael and Jason are pretty close, if she were to use that against Jason and say, "Your son saw Scout without permission, and I can tell Drew," or you convince Michael to let me see Wiley and Amelia.
Yeah, that's true. She could do that also. So we'll have to see what Willow does with this information. All right. And then Kevin is actually offered a job to work in Ireland. He claims that he's turning it down. However, we know how this goes. I'm sure he'll end up taking it later. Jacinda bonds with Tracy. Eddie Turner and Sunny bond. Let's see. Nathan and Lulu bond. There's just a lot of bonding going on. Um, let's see. Britt wants to celebrate her birthday with Jason, so she spends some time with him. Carly bonds with Valentine. Let's see, Alexis wants to show that Michael could have shot Drew. And so that is her strategy now. And of course, as you could probably imagine, Christina is not happy at all. She kind of stumbles upon the strategy her mom's going to use. So she is not happy that her mom plans to blame everything on Michael. And of course, Alexis does tell her that she has to do something in order to save Willow and also to help her with Scout. Let's see. Charlotte comes over to babysit Ace, and so she decides to take Ace out just during the babysitting adventure, and they run into Sidwell. And Sidwell comments that a child can disappear quickly. So, of course, that's kind of startling information for Charlotte. And she does take the time and she does tell Laura about the incident with Sidwell. Let's see. Eddie A. Turner and Dante talk about Alexis and the trial or and they're really talking about what direction that Alexis could possibly take. And then Sonny questions Michael. So, like I said, a lot of bonding this week, a lot of people just kind of talking about different things. And so it was, and General Hospital, as you know, was only on for 3 days this week. All right, Brandon, what did I leave out?
Mom, I think that was about it.
Okay, sounds good. All right, guys, this is going to be a short one this week. Let's talk about our performers of the week. For me, I said Laura and Charlotte. Laura because she's trying to figure things out. And so I kind of like the way her mind's thinking. She's weighing all options. So Laura for me. Charlotte because Charlotte really hasn't had much of a. She's had a role. However, I think seeing her with Sidwell is, I think, the most important role she's had so far because we're used to seeing her with Valentine. So it was nice to see her with someone else, or at least I say it's just nice to see her acting with someone else. And so it'll be interesting to see what she does with this information that Sidwell has given her. All right, Brandon, who are your performers of the week?
Mom, I'm going to actually agree with you. I had a tough time trying to think what actually happened this week, just because we were, like I said, preempted for those 2 days in sort of the middle of the week. But yes, I would have to say that I was thinking about Charlotte because, like I said, she has been having a more prominent role over these past several weeks, and I think this year, well, into 2025 and now beginning of 2026, has done a good job of incorporating these younger actors and characters into the story, and I think Charlotte takes the cake for this week.
All right, sounds good. As for amusement of the week, I'll have to give that to actually Molly and Cody. So I give this. There's a scene where Felicia and James come to the stable, and I kind of got a kick out of that. So in this scene, there was Molly, Cody, Felicia, and James, and so that is my scene of the week. What about you, Brian?
Mom, I'll have to agree.
All righty, yeah, we're two for two. Then, as for touching scenes of the week, this actually, to me, I thought it was Danny, Alexis, and Scout. I liked that they all were together as a family, and so I was happy to see those scenes together. All right, Brandon, are you going to agree with me about this one too?
Mom, I am.
Okay, sounds good. Oh, we must be tired. And then let's see. We have, as for missing scenes, there was not a scene for me that was missing this week. What about you, Brandon?
If anything, I'm going to say more so a scene that didn't happen, and that is sort of follow up from Portia.
Okay. All right, I'll agree with you there. And there weren't any scenes that I fast forwarded this week. What about you?
No.
All righty. And as for welcome back to Ace, and he actually spoke, so which is nice to see. So it'll be interesting to see whether or not he eventually speaks and tells others that Charlotte did see Valentine. But did you have any welcome backs this week?
I don't think that there are any other welcomes backs, but it's nice to see Ace again.
All right. And then for where are they? Once more, where's Nina? Where's Ava? Where's Elizabeth? They were missing this week. All right, Brandon, what about you? Any prominent players missing for you?
Well, I mean, outside of those, like I said, I do think a Portia scene probably would have been necessitated towards the end of that week, just because I mean, I think the last time we saw her, she was leaving out the hospital with her things. So, I mean, I think that this would have been an appropriate place to see her, but who knows? Maybe she's being put in that off-screen area of I guess, the hospital alongside TJ and Terry for the time being.
I guess so. Oh, so where are they? Where's Terry also? Alrighty. And then for this week's Who Shot Drew? Alrighty, I'm going back to kind of what I said yesterday on when we spoke about this. I'm going to go with Stella this week along with Portia. And I think I've been pretty consistent with Portia for a little bit. And so well, there's Stella in there. So those are the two I think who shot Drew this week. All right, Brandon, what about you?
What, Mom? Someone's shooting Portia now?
No. Yes.
No, I mean, I still am thinking Willow, but again, I'm hesitating now because I know Michael's definitively told us that he has not done it, but I'm questioning it a little bit more in the sense of Willow and Michael are more or less the same person in the sense that they both will do whatever it takes for their children. The question is, will it include shooting Drew? I don't. That's where I'm hesitating. I don't think either of them per se would at least consciously do it, but I could see both of them doing it in a rage or both of them doing it like without better judgment, and I can see them both framing each other for it as they are and have been.
Yep, they sure can do it. All right, Brandon, is there anything else that you want to talk about for General Hospital this week?
Well, Mom, are we able to speak a little bit about the January 1st episode Back from the Closet of 2015 with Luke's exit?
Yes, go ahead, Brandon.
So as you know, for those tuning in, and Mom, of course, as you know, is that I've only been watching the show for a little over a year and a half. There's some things that I've seen on and off, throughout the years. by virtue of you watching it, um, but this is the first time I've actually seen um, you know, an episode per se this old, at least in full detail, I should say, like the full episode, at least consciously watching it, and it was so interesting seeing how much it does and doesn't relate to our present day. I mean, essentially a decade later.
Yeah, it is interesting. And, I forgot about Dylan. I mean, I know Dylan as a character, but I forgot that this particular gentleman actually played Dylan. And so it was interesting to see Dylan and watch Morgan because I forgot about I shouldn't say I forgot. I know Morgan, but I forgot how they act because it's been so long since we've seen them acting together that it was actually pleasant to watch Morgan and also to watch Dylan speak with each other. And then this is, of course, Lulu number, I guess, two, three, I can't remember. But anyway, it was interesting to watch that version of Lulu and especially conversing with her dad and to see Laura's reaction in general. And so it was interesting to watch just to see some of the changes and how some things have stayed the same.
Yeah, it definitely is. But mom, can we briefly speak about Aunt Denise?
Yeah, that was weird. Aunt Denise is supposed to be, I guess, the cousin of I guess it would be the cousin of, or sibling, maybe. I'm not sure. But anyway, a relative of Ava's, and of course, it's Ava in disguise. All she had on was a wig, and I mean, I would think her daughter would know her mother, but apparently she doesn't. So anyway, and the wig looks so fake. So yes, that was a very bad take of Ava imitating herself. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I just thought it was so interesting. At the very least, we're glad that Kiki at the end was like, well, the only one of the reasons, something along the lines of like, I can tolerate you because you look a lot like my mom. It's just interesting, and you have Franco and you have Nina number one, and so there's so many different people I think within this. So it's kind of funny to see and interesting to see sort of how much progressed, how much stayed the same. For instance, custody battle over Avery. Glad to know that over a decade later, it's still not solved. Um,
Yes, and it was interesting to watch Rick. He was a little conniving back then. Not to say that he's not now, but he was really conniving at that point. So it was interesting to see Rick act also,
and with black hair.
and with black hair. Yes, I wasn't going to say that, but yes, Rick had black hair then.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was interesting, but I do get somewhat of a I don't know, a nice feeling knowing that like it's the same families for the most part. I mean, you have the Quartermains, the Corinthos, and the Spencers, and so glad to know that they're all still here, even though most of the characters that were shown then are no longer per se on the screen now. For the most part, just a few. The only person I think that was exactly the same, I think, was Nathan.
Yes, well, because we don't know who Nathan really is now, do we? But yes, everyone did look exactly the same, and so it was fun to watch and to see a past episode. As I kind of mentioned to you, Luke left in, I think it was 1984 also, and I looked on YouTube trying to find that episode, and I liked that episode when he left because they did flashbacks at that time, and so but I couldn't find it, and so whenever I come across it, I'm going to show that one to you also.
Well, mom, that's definitely good to know. It definitely, I thought, was a bit interesting that there weren't sort of any flashbacks or I don't know, or a more prominent storyline. I mean, I know that he was the opening and closing storyline, and that it was Luke's big exit. But yeah. But anyway, mom, are you ready to go ahead and close out this discussion?
All right, Brandon. We thank everybody for watching, and we hope to see you next time.
Have a wonderful day.
All right, bye, everybody.